This broadcast is inappropriate for all ages, right here on hashtag WeAreMovieClub. It's time for Bad Movie Club. Salutations, I am Camerai, and I am conversation ready, even if I have the wrong movie up there. That is not what we're doing. I really thought I'd gone and do it and fix that already. Sometimes when you're getting older, you start to lose your mind a little bit. And these are the things you have to contend with. Did I do that? Where are my pants? I don't care. Life is better without pants. I'm just saying. Bad Movie Club. No. Maybe it's in the project? Let us see. Why do my eyes look so red? So, again, we are not talking about Zack and Miri. That was last week. Yep, so I just forgot to export it. So, easy peasy solution. We are here today to talk about movies and things and stuff we've been watching, such as Jersey Girl. Probably one of the more controversial Kevin Smith movies, about at least as far as like, is it really good, is it really bad? It's probably one of the first ones I'm gonna go ahead and say skip if you're doing it. I actually really like Jersey Girl. I think it's a sweet story when it comes down to it, but it takes a little bit of a roller coaster to get there, because there's a lot of sad up front and there's a lot of sad in Up as well, and Up is fantastic. Those feels that you feel in the first 11 minutes of Up are amazing. Kevin burned it a little bit long, I think, on this one. And it doesn't help that, like, I hate both Gertie and Ollie Trinky, or the mom, J-Lo. Like, they're not redeemable characters. They're no one I would hang out with. They're not people, like, I want to meet. It's really hard to nail down exactly what it is, but I think it's just that they're rich assholes, and that's not part of my life. Whereas, like, a lot of Kevin Smith's movies up until this point have been about, like, the everyman, the poor middle class guy. And this is the first time, like, you have, like, someone who might be upper class, at least someone who has some degree of money that he can throw around. To live in a fancy apartment in New York, and him working all hard and everything. It's kind of like another indication of that like, oh, he's always working, so he must have money at least. And so when he starts living out, or he's still working the job, but he's living out with Grandpa, he better have, like, saved up some money. So he was probably well off for at least a year or two without having to street sweep or anything of the sort. However, you kind of see him bounce back and forth. You see him take up the role of the everyman, of the street sweeper, of the common poor, the lower to middle class guy that we see normally in Kevin's movies, and that I can relate to a little bit better. However, he's actively refuting that the entire time. He's like, oh, this piece of shit life. And he's not thankful for anything. He just wants, like, his awesome life. And he wants it so badly that, like, he's just strung out on the whole idea of it. The idea of having this stuff, this thing, this status that he can try to lord over other people, and this job where he feels like he is himself, because up until the point where he had his daughter, his job was his identity. Like, that's who he was. And then trying to go it alone, he never had the transitionary period of going from, like, hey, this is my job, but hey, I'm a dad now, because he never got to, like, see and experience his daughter while someone else is taking care of him, without this big tragedy looming over it. So that's what we see. So I'm gonna shoot through the beginning of the movie here, because I really forgot to take notes for a lot of it. But it opens up on, like, his daughter talking at her Catholic school, or whatever it is, her private school, let's say, about her family. And so it goes to a flashback talking about her mom and dad, who's Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, because they happen to be dating at the time, I'm sure. But and granted, this is a movie that Kevin wrote for Affleck. I think they even delayed the production of this movie so that it wouldn't conflict with Daredevil, who Smith recommended Ben Affleck for Daredevil. Another movie that I like that will probably end up on this movie club. Or, I don't know. I could go back. We can do it on We Are Movie Club. I think we're gonna get away. I think it'll probably resurface here just because it won't have any other place to go. So, going through all that, the long and short version is that he had this awesome job as what's called a flack, a publicist, a yarn spinner, if you will, for musicians and such. So he would get up there and publicize and make statements that make musicians look good so that people are more interested, so the musicians get more money and can afford to pay him a higher percentage. So we go through all that. He meets Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez likes family, everything. He marries her, knocks her up. She dies during childbirth. And we fast forward to age 7. No, I'm sorry. We go through this horrible, trauma-ridden character of Ollie Trinke as a flack trying to be a single father with his dad, the grandpa, played by George Carlin, trying to help out and do everything. Like, he takes off work, he does everything that he knows that he did, because his wife died to raise the baby, because he knows that what's the most important is the baby. But Ollie Trinke, Affleck's character, can't get that through his head, that like the most important thing is obviously his kid. It's insane, like, that you can't process that. It's part of, like, being excited about being knocked up and everything. And, of course, he probably thought, like, oh, she'll take care of all that because I've got the high-paying job. Blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. And you and I know that, but I don't know what to tell you. So we fast forward to age 7. After Grandpa's kind of officially handed the kid off, and he's had a nice little heart-to-heart with her. And so 7 years go by of this torture of being a single father. Being a parent's not easy. I'm not saying that much, but I'm just saying, like, there's worse things than having to do what you need to do for your kid. So he goes through all that. He's obviously riding the street sweeper, the Batmobile. That's much easier to say for me. So he's picking her up from school in it. They've got a routine, obviously. She's got a whole life that she's built up in New Jersey, never really knowing New York. So obviously it becomes a focus of his to share that with her and, like, tell her stories about her mom. And for whatever, because cats is such a big thing, especially in hoity-toity upper class people that share that school with her. They're all doing scenes from Cats for the school play, and for whatever reason, Affleck, despite, like, his upper classness, if you will, like, hates cats, and it's hard to blame him. So they have to find, like, another scene to do. Excuse me. And of course, what ends up happening is that she picks Sweeney Todd, and this is kind of where I came into knowledge of Sweeney Todd. The movie with Johnny Depp, and I think it's Tim Burton directs it. One of my favorite movies. It's such a beautiful play of chaos and fun, creepy music shit. So of course he doesn't know what it is. He just knows that it's grown up and singing. And if you haven't seen it, spoilers. Especially since the movie now is Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. The plot of the movie is that a guy wrongly accused finally gets out of prison, comes back, and comes back to his job as a barber, killing people, and then the bodies are used to make meat pies in the restaurant down below. So that's what his 7-year-old wants to do for her school play, her one scene act, or whatever you want to call it. So, but it's 7 years now at this point, so he's tired of driving the street sweeper. She's kind of capable. They've got a good routine going on, like I said. So he's finally starting to go back to interviews, and he finds out that he's infamous. Like, the Ollie Trinky that, like, destroyed his career. Like, nobody will touch him. Which, to me, is actually odd. Because, obviously, like, he will attract some attention. But he was in a big enough position to be noticed when he blew up his career. Now, I may have skipped over that part earlier because, honestly, it wasn't pertinent to, like, the actual plot of the story. It's just a moment that happens where, like, he gets so stressed out about the baby and everything that he destroys Will Smith through a public statement, at least. And then, of course, we all know Will Smith is fucking mega famous, so there's that. It was a bad thing to happen. So, again, it's the beginning of the movie is really just kind of sad because you're still really dealing with him, like, dealing with not his wife being dead. Even to the point where, like, the girl at the video store, of course, he tries to rent porn from her, but, like, starts messing with him, and then, like, really is really pushy with him. But, of course, she likes him, and that's kind of how she's masking things. Played by Liv Tyler, who does a fantastic job. Her and George Carlin, I really think, and the kid are the ones that really saved this. You could argue that the kid, Raquel Castro, is the one who saves the movie. If you want to take that perspective, or is the main character, sorry, that was my point, but, like, I really think Ollie Trinky is the main character. It's about him and what an ass he is to everyone, and him trying to come into the realization that he should have his priorities straight, or what his priorities should be, rather. But of course, like, he goes to the thing, he comes back from that, and it's his daughter doing a you show me yours, I'll show you mine, stupid family conversation, and be like, what are your intentions? Which comes back onto him later, because the pushy girl from the video store eventually, like, pressures him into meeting her for lunch, which was the fucking smoothest way I've ever seen anyone get asked out. I want to see that in real life sometime, because it would be amazing. Be like, oh, I guess I'll meet you here at this time. That doesn't work out. Those people get stood up in real life. But, of course, if Liv Tyler did that to you, you're probably going to show up. Just saying. So, I'm bouncing around more than I should for this movie. Okay, so yeah, she pressures him into finally getting down and dirty. Let's say it that way. And then the daughter busts in on him. Surprisingly, I think it's in a comedy of three situation. She ends up remembering to flush the toilet after she goes to the bathroom, and because they're hiding in the shower of all places, it changes the water temperature. I don't think it's really a thing that happens anymore unless you're just in older buildings. So she screams, and she gets to have a whatever your intentions conversation with her dad and the girl from the video store, who she's actually, as far as I can tell, happy about that dad's hanging out with, because for whatever reason they seem to really hit it off. And there's nothing, like, really explicit there. There's nothing that happens. It's just, oh, it's the pretty lady from the video store. You like her, don't you, Daddy? And that's kind of like the role of it. So, like, she likes her because her dad likes her, and then she's nice on top of that. I don't know. Maybe it's just the trusting hood of kids, but I don't know which part of the embodiment of that character that expresses that to me. So okay, so yeah, so boom, boom, boom. Okay, yeah, it's really hard to take notes for this because, and that's one of the things that's actually good about Kevin Smith's writing, is that it's a lot of subtle stuff, or physical stuff going on the scene. So there's not a lot to take notes on. You can't say, like, oh, then he grabbed this, and then he grabbed that, and then he walked over here. It's just, he walked around the room gathering his things to venture out the door. And even though it's like a 10-minute scene with dialogue, that's what happened. And that's not something that happened in the movie. I was just exampling. And I did forget to take notes at some point. But, the biggest point is like, as all the characters are preparing for this play, this one scene that they've got to do, they're making sets and costumes and stuff, and Dad comes in like a jackass, like, I've got an interview and it's on the day of the play, isn't that great? And then he he didn't do it like that at all, but he insists that he can do both, because he's delusioned at this point that like that he still has any business being in that world, even though he's managed to wrangle his old subordinate to get him an interview at the guy's firm. Like, it's just still such a bare chance when like his daughter and everything's right there in front of him, just begging him to deal with that type of life. Like, this is really a deep movie. You could really sink your teeth in and talk about it and have a good time with it, but it's just getting over that hump of like, oh fuck, his wife's dead, oh she's motherless, oh he's an asshole. And then like he finally has a conversation with Will Smith himself, which was amazing that they got him. The guy who he burned at the stake in the public eye anyways. So it's kind of that fun ironicness of it all, that like the guy who ruined his career is the guy who fixes it, and then he goes to make the play and he makes it just in time, and you see it in Raquel's eyes, like, oh, you're the hero. Which seems kind of lame because he only does like 3 things. To be perfectly honest, they really abuse Maya in this. Like, they take advantage of her a lot. And I would have liked to see Maya get a little bit more of what she wants, because obviously she's in love with Ollie. Obviously, like, she was into him from the start and wanted to jump his bones, and was having a good time with all that. And she kind of gets denied throughout the entire movie. So like this movie again from her perspective would be pretty interesting. Like, her pursuit of the guy, her having exposition over what she finds attractive about this situation. Like a little bit of her life, why she's like a 30-year-old working at the video store. Maybe she owns it, and it's not a blockbuster after all. There could be some interesting angles there, but so it's kind of disappointing. And I mean, Liv Tyler and the character are both really likable. The kid's likable. George Carlin's pretty likable. Both of the uncles are pretty likable. So it's just with Affleck being saddled with this asshole character, it really puts you off at certain points. So if that's the worst you have to deal with, though, with all this greatness, and it's not Affleck's fault. It's Kevin's. Honestly, the character's written mean, because that's the point, is that he's selfish and self-centered and pushing everyone away for his own needs and wants, so that he can have that moment of realization and be like, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is where my duty lies, and this is the good that I can do by being the father to my daughter and being everything that she needs. And part of that is being here in New Jersey, not New York City, not with the cool job, because the cool job doesn't do a lot for her. It just a little bit of extra money, and then if you take in living expenses and differences, plus traveling back to New Jersey to visit Grandpa and Maya and any friends she has, it takes its toll. So I don't think it would really do her much better. So it would be interesting to see, like, New York is a city of single people, like there are no children within the bounds of New York, or that live there anyways. That would be interesting. Yeah, and it's kind of sad because there's even a sweet moment, like, after he blows the fuck up on her, after, like, Gertie throws a tantrum, and then he throws one right back because he's a big man-child, where she's like, is Mom like New York? I guess I'll like New York. There's some real beautiful moments in this movie. It's well written. I think the choice was bad. There was just a bad choice or two made, and then once you've committed to those choices, the natural progression of the story writes itself, and it's hard to redeem it. I don't know what you would do but I am, like, in my head, I keep comparing this to Up. And I guess Rachel Castro's, or Gertie would be the little Chinese kid. And then Ben Affleck would be the old man. But so you'd have to shorten the time of the involvement of the wife, still trying to make that feel powerful without making it feel too powerful, so that we can obviously move on to the actual story. And then you center on the interaction between the older man and the young kid, regardless of their relationship, because obviously in Up they had none, but it worked. And then you give them an objective to meet, which this does not have. It's a hidden objective of, we know, like, just being sensible people, we know that he has to get to that moment of realizing, this is one of two things: either he has to realize that he has to be the father she needs, or fuck off the other way, which, why would you make that movie? So we don't have a MacGuffin to chase, we don't have a goal, we don't have an adventure to complete, it's just life. It's a slice of life thing. So there's got to be a lot of people that really like this movie, and I'm one of them that like it, but I appreciate movies critically. Whereas it's like, oh, you made a thing, let me see how this thing you made works, and all the little pieces and such like that. So it's an interesting movie to me. I like it for several reasons, but it's definitely not for the fact that anyone will like it. And I've got to be honest, this is one you could probably skip if you're doing a Kevin Smith marathon and you're trying to keep your guests happy with Kevin Smith movies. Maybe give this one a skip. I think even Kevin would admit this, and he kind of does, he jokes about it, but like, it's just not a comedy in the same way that his other movies are comedies. I'll be honest, like, Vulgar may end up on the skip list too. Cop Out, I don't know. Like, I can see why people would like that, but you're not going to like Cop Out because it's a Kevin Smith movie. You're going to like Cop Out because you like Bruce Willis, or you like action comedy stuff. And that's what we're going to watch next week, is Cop Out. And it's fun to hear the stories that are go on behind this movie and everything. But in reality, it's a movie. Kevin Smith directed it. Bruce Willis starred in it. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to try to leave all my feelings about all that out of it. And honestly, like, they're not very strong, even if I had them in. But I think, just the fairness of the movie, we're going to watch Cop Out next Sunday, Rabbit/Camera Eye, 7 p.m. Eastern. Or 2100 if you don't like to subtract out the numbers, because that makes sense. And then we're going to follow it up with Iron Man. We are on to Iron Man. And I guess I have to make a decision about Daredevil and Blade, about which way those belong. And I think I may hit my friends up and ask them to vote. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll get a third-party decision on whether those movies belong in Bad Movie Club, or if they should go. No, they'll probably go here. And I think they won't go here because they're bad movies. I honestly don't believe Blade, any of the three of the Blade movies, even though the last one's pretty weak, or Daredevil, and I like that movie, even though the Netflix series is much better. I don't think they necessarily belong here, but I'm using this Bad Movie Club as kind of an excuse to watch movies that I want to watch again, that maybe other people won't necessarily be into, so I can't watch with them. So hopefully you join me over on Rabbit/Camera Eye, and we'll watch some bad movies, some good movies, and some scary movies together. But that's it for me. So thank you so much for watching or listening, or however you ingested this. Have a nice day from us here at #WeAreMovieClub. This has been Bad Movie Club. If you see anything else we're up to, go to click the annotations and they'll take you to our other channels. Thanks for watching.